When I got to the screen, we were right around this area and didn't have a chance to really get my bearings and see exactly where we were at, but short side trade made a lot of sense. The overnight high right here took out the yesterday's high a day, and this is a pretty significant high and a pretty big imbalance down. Lots of supply in here, and we grinded up, put in this real weak low in the overnight session, and now we've sold off, took out all these longs here, all of this. You can see this order flow too, just this grind up, and then at this point we couldn't hold this level, imbalance through here, and at this point this is where I saw the opportunity to the downside, these longs being trapped. And before this weak low at the 4500 to get short, I just didn't have a very good setup. Wasn't really any kind of spike higher, which I typically like to see, and now I'm trying to find a short through the overnight low. This is very, very weak, all this. Look at all these tests. So I'll be trading for that break of the overnight low, and we'll see if I can get it. Taking an aggressive short at the low side of the range to see if we can break these lows. It's right at 7 now, so should see some increase in volume. That's what I'm hoping for. We didn't really take out the top side of this little range, but I feel like order flow is still set. We didn't see any kind of big release on this push down. Haven't seen any kind of large limit buying coming in either. So I'm going to manage risk pretty tight here, being that I'm at the low side of the range. And if we start to see any large limit buying, I'll be killing this trade pretty aggressively. But the takeout of the overnight low should put us down into this fresh demand, into this blue box here. So any targets in this LVN, probably 45.90, would be a great exit. A little bit of size at 44.95. So 90. I'm going to put my stop at 90.25. See if we can get that. Just went to break even on a break of the low. So now we need to hold this area. This is what I would expect to hold for a move down. Let's see how this trade at 44.95 goes. But this has a lot of weakness still to the downside if I can hold on to this trade. That's a nice push there. Now let's see if we can get it. That's a real nice reaction there. I'm going to lock in at least a couple points. I can't imagine we stop before taking out that low, but we're coming right into that box. So limit buying is possible to come in any time here, but I want to let my trade play out to take out that weakness. Definitely some increased volume now. But I don't think that we should stop here. No reason to stop at this area. Some pretty big limit buying coming in now here. Just doesn't make sense that we would see any kind of large buying coming in before the break of this low. Just need to push this out. I'm going to lock in a few more points. Let's push out these last limit buyers. Gotta get it. We're holding that volume. I don't want to get spiked out on a push up, but I don't want to give back the whole trade either. Hard to sit through this and hold for the trigger, but there's no reason that this move should stop here before the flush and the takeout of that liquidity. That's where any real big limit buyers would be stepping in. It's not going to make it easy for me. Just sitting with my finger on the dome. But I gotta stick with the idea. Let's see what happens on the next test and push of the low. Just is hard to find a good exit, but I think this LVN topside of yesterday's value at 90.25 makes a lot of sense. But I'm going to aggressively manage it on the push below. Let's get it. Should see the spike down. We got some pretty big volume coming in now at the low, but I don't see that that makes any sense that we're going to stop here. But we definitely have some buying going on. Oh, they're not making it easy on me. It's not what I want to see. Accumulation at the lows, but I'm not going to give back this whole trade. Hopefully we can see some limit selling going on here at the lows. A lot of people are going to be going for this low as well, I feel like, so there should be a nice amount of liquidity sitting below. This is the hard part about trading, is sitting through this. But it just makes no sense that there'd be limit buyers coming in right at this low. There is pullback potential, that's the issue. But sticking with it. Still limit seller 45.95, so that's still well below my entry. So I got to give it a chance. Just haven't really seen any kind of blow off in price, so it's got to go. I want to see what happens when we come down and test this limit buyer again. Are they going to be exhausted and push through, or buy again? Nobody knows. I certainly don't. But I'm glad that it held this area here. I think they are probably in trouble. I got it. 90.25. And we're likely to go lower, but I'll take that. Beautiful trade. This is a good example of taking an aggressive entry, but with my context in mind, that I didn't want to miss the break of the overnight low, and it felt like we were so close to it. We had support of the structure, a lot of trapped longs in this area, all of these trapped longs from up here. This order flow definitely helped me see that and paint that picture. But typically I would say no way is this a good entry. We're right at the low side of range, just made a low tick, and I would have passed on that for sure. So having a better context read and trusting that, and also not locking in anything, especially when this volume came in. In the past I would be, oh no, this is big limit buying, but it doesn't make any sense that limit buyers would come in here. So I had to stick with it and wait for that blow off and that flush, and we really haven't seen a real big release in order flow yet, so it's possible that we could come even lower. I mean, down into this range, if we don't hold yesterday's value from below now, we could see price all the way back down into this area and a test of this LVN. So that's what I'll be watching for now. So we've opened up in range in value here, and we didn't hold value into the open. So I was looking for a short trade again at the open, but really didn't see any after this imbalance down right at the open. Lots of volume put in here, lots of stuck longs, and that fueled the move down. So then this is our first area of untested liquidity into yesterday's demand structure here, and now we've pushed down into that, so that this would have been my target. So anywhere in here is untested trouble, and now really I have no idea of what to look for. So I'm just gonna let this play out. I don't really have anything to the long side until we get above, really well above value again, and this is untested trouble, untested supply, and not much to do for me right now. Still only the one trade so far. I was trying to get a short after the open, nothing really, just an imbalance and no structure to lean on for the shorts, and then we came back into this demand area, and I really wanted to see, or had an expectation to take these lows out. Didn't happen, and Kelly took a short or a long off of the lows somewhere in here after the push up above the LVN in this, about this 802 area, for a plus 40. Really beautiful trade, and I didn't get in on that. And then at that point, just kind of watching to see how we handle this and see if we're going to push back up into range above value, yesterday's value, and so far we're holding. And my exit on that would have been into this 80, anywhere above the break of this liquidity, above 84.50 into this area. We can see that's exactly where we've come in, origin of the move, and into this untested supply from the drop from the open. So a little bit of a battle here now. I also tried a long after we held the structure right in here. Expectation was that we had this structure put in this low, tested and tried lower, couldn't go, and then I had an order on intrabar in here around the LVN at about, what was it, I was trying to get back to about 79.50, and then it just never came back. So this was a nice trade to come up into this, to the break that I was talking about, into this fresh supply. And now tempted to take the long anywhere in here, but we had some limit selling here and here, a high tick, and then I felt the urge to try to get long in here, and I'm like, this does not make sense. Give my buy order to these limit sellers, and that's exactly what would have happened. So instead of waiting, instead of kind of taking that impulse to buy for the break, I passed on it, and that's exactly what happened. So now we're going to see what happens. We already had somewhat of an order flow release here, trapping those shorts. So now we're in an area where we have the potential for new limit selling to come in. So to buy into that is a mistake, in my opinion. It doesn't mean that buyers still aren't in control, and we can still push out all of these shorts from the open and move higher into this untested supply in the 95 to the 97 area. But I need to be buying this at the low side of the range and being a little more patient, because we're kind of getting into an area of value. So this is a decent test. Limit buying coming in here now. So we'll see if I can get an entry to break the top of this range. After this small push here, I thought that I had an order entered at 86, and instead of leaving it, as soon as I saw this limit selling coming in, I pulled the order. This is not a good area for me to be below this volume coming in. And so I'm really happy with pulling that trade, because look, it's exactly what happened. Limit selling came in, now pushed down. That would have been a full, like a 4-point loss. I had a real nice target to the long side to come up really into the 94 minimum, possibly all the way up into the 96. So a full 10-point target on that, but this was not good. So this is a bit of an area that we're battling now between the limit sellers that were here from the open and the buyers. So I'm gonna have to just wait now and see what happens. And I missed the entry, and this is the break. These sellers are in big trouble here. So as soon as we pushed down below, we found limit buying and then a push up. But the problem with this is that just the stop for me was that 84.50. I had to be down below this low at 80.50. So I mean, 4 points. I mean, it's not a bad stop considering I have a 10-point target, and I missed it. So God, I had the read perfectly, and I missed the entry. Unfortunate. So now I'm really stuck with not much to do here now, because this is the seller's getting trapped, and now the short covering. Still haven't seen the real release in order flow yet, but that's real unfortunate to miss that one. There's the 96. Oh man, all the way up to the target, 96.50, exactly what I was hoping for. Oh man, just a failure. I guess a little bit of a failure to execute. I think the entry would have been the 84.25 right here above this last volume. So 10 points right away. I wanted to try a short scalp off of this little push up and then this high tick, internal high tick here, and I just couldn't pull the trigger on it. And my target was, I was trying to get down to the 0275 low side of this LVN. Some limit buying coming in here, but I would be break even at this point. I just wasn't comfortable with an entry up here, and my read looks like it was pretty good so far. And see if we finish off the idea, but it would have about a 5-point trade. There's the target, and it was real weird order flow in here. We see this, all of this delta didn't increase at all, and then massive selling absorption at the highs, telling me that we had a lot of longs from this move that were absorbing or taking their positions off. So made sense, and I was definitely had the right read on this. And now here we are down to the 0275 to the tick, the edge of the LVN. I'm trying along. We're kind of right at the LVN. It seems like we have potential to move up. It's a little sketchy, being that we haven't had a good push yet, but the volume supports the trade. So I'm going to look for it to come back up into the volume at 1075, and I'm going to be pretty tight with it here. But I just feel like we have a lot of these late shorts in here, and I think this trade is makes sense. So if we can just get above this LVN, and I think we have a pretty good chance. We tried below and definitely had limit buying coming in, and then this, we saw some pretty big volume here, push down, and it seems order flow is starting to turn around for me. So this will be a real nice trade. I've just been real piss poor execution today, so I'm gonna lock something in on this trade, and that's a real nice push. If we don't have these limit sellers in here anymore, we had this attempt and this limit selling in there, so I like the chances. Now can I just survive a pullback? I need these highs to hold, and those last late shorts are definitely trapped now. Let's see if we can get it. This is not a real great chance for a big move, but I mean 1075 is that's 8 points, so I need this volume to hold and see if we can push out all these shorts. It's a nice response there. See what happens above these highs at the LVN around 08. It's a pretty minor LVN in my opinion. Liquidity is, there's the potential for liquidity to push out those shorts. So I'm going to lock in something, but I'd like to see the break. No real volume coming in yet. It is huge delta since the highs. So it's huge negative delta. So that's, in my opinion, longs covering or from the move up or fresh shorts coming in. So that's a nice little response. Let's see what happens above this high. I'm going to be pretty aggressive with locking profit in. Oh, come on. I'm locking in 2 points here. And I just got taken out. I'm long 45.05. And we had that push above, trapping these late shorts after the liquidity flush lower. And I'm going for the same target now, the 1075. I think we might have them trapped. This needs to go here. Last chance. I like the trade though, makes sense. Beautiful response there. I'm going to target this LVN at 1050. That'll be a nice, real nice end. Got some volume at 45.10. And now we have some little bit of limit selling. Hopefully that doesn't stay there. I'm gonna just like to see this flush and this order flow release. Tempted to lock in a couple points again if this doesn't hold these highs, this last seller. Gonna have to make some decisions. Man, that's a real nice response now there. Finish it off. Oh, come on. I don't want to close it out too early, but I'm gonna lock in 2 points. Try to start chasing it up. I definitely have a little bit of volume coming in. Dome is starting to move around. This is gonna have to be it here. Got it. Beautiful trade. I'm long 94.50 on this push above on increase of volume. We had pretty big limit buying, real big limit buying coming in here at this LVN. And I'll be looking to target, I mean really we have weakness all way up. So I think there's a real nice potential. We'll see what happens on this, where we had this last limit seller coming in. But this trade makes a lot of sense. But taking this off even into here would be real nice. That was just a beautiful, beautiful push there. I'm going to lock in some volume here. I had a target at 45.02 and I was not filled. See if the 4500 holds. I'm just going to take this off for 5 points. Beautiful trade. Beautiful trade there. Just a great trade. Saw some really pretty big limits selling coming in here. I wouldn't doubt if we push all of this out. I mean, we could see, I mean, we have really everything tested all the way up into the 45.13. I really think this has the potential to go much higher. We have, I guess, some untested up into the 45.07. That's a potential for trouble in this area. But look at this. What I was looking at is this. Look at this negative delta on this push down. All this. So basically this is the area where we had this previous demand. All of these longs getting unwound here. All these longs were trapped at the push below here. So that is a perfect recipe for removing all of the liquidity of the longs, and then also previous demand zone in likely area where we would see higher time frame buyers step in again. Is that going to happen? I don't know. That's why I was happy to take it off for a 5-point win. Probably could have taken it off into this volume for a few ticks more, but at this point when we came up here, put in this volume, I was happy to lock that in, because if it just broke out and pushed hard higher, I would have liked to have given it a little bit of an opportunity. But see, now we have, this is the issue with doing that. I'd be sitting in this trade, large limit selling coming in here now, and all of this is a potential, this big wick here, a potential for a pullback, and that's what we're seeing again. So who knows what happens. It's going to be now a battle between these limit sellers up here and then these limit buyers down here. So really not much to do now, especially after this high tick and kind of failure of this LV and above. So had just one of my best days trading the ES ever today, and that's with missing a lot of opportunities that I identified and wasn't able to execute on. I would have crushed the day more than I ever have before. So it was just one of those days where I felt like my context and my read was really, really good, and I still a lot of room for improvement on my execution. But that's going to end it for me for today. Go ahead and put up my results for the day. We can see 987. So that's on a one lot. So my ultimate goal in the short term is 10 lots, so that'd be almost 10K, almost a 5-figure day. So pretty good. Long video today.